Y'all are probably thinking, 400 bushel corn? That guy's crazy. Well, you know, I just figured I'd say that to get the trolls all fired up. Babe, what are we up to?
Trouble.
When are we not up to trouble? We're always getting into some kind of trouble. But today we're driving to pick up a manure. I'm on the public road, and guess what? It's deer country. Look, it's deer country, everyone. There's lots and lots of green equipment at deer country. I think we might be running out of space.
Uh-oh.
Alright, so we got a Tube Line Nitro 575 RS. I think they call it 575 cubic feet or 400 something bushel. They didn't clean it up before I picked it up, but such is life. That's a gearbox, and it's hydraulically driven, just like the one that I had before. That was a Lanco. This has a piece of wood on the side to keep it from getting the shit kicked out of it. Ugh. But there it is, guillotine gate. And wow, that is really an interesting chain. Looks like log chain. Look at that. It's log chain down there. Now I've leased this or rented this for $250 per day. And $250 per day is not terrible. I'd really like to see what kind of chain drive that has. That is weird. That's the connecting link right there. I guess if you wanted to replace it, you just knock that out of there. So Timothy's bringing the 8530 over, and we're going to use the 8530. That is weird. It's like a double sprocket that fits a chain, or like a log chain. I don't know what the longevity of that is going to be, but I guess we're going to find out. I got about 30 loads to do, 30 walking floor loads to do. It seems to be built pretty heavy. Yeah, it's very simple. No computer like that thing that I had before. That computer was no good. He's going to have to change that out. You got to pull the hammer strap off of that thing. So he's going to have to back it up. I don't know what he's doing, but anyway, that's neat. That's for smaller stuff, and I guess you could pull that off and use the pintle. Go get the impact gun and we'll pull that top piece and bottom piece off. So that has to come apart. Yeah, in order to fit the pintle. So it's got to come off. That's kind of a neat setup. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but huh?
That's called a
Pintle.
Oh.
Pintle. So, yeah. I do have the electronics up there, so we pull that apart with the electric impact gun, and then we'll just drop that in. I got to get the pin for that, wherever that is. Do you know where it is? It has the large PTO or the small? That's the small. Gonna need the small PTO shaft to go on there. Now we'll do that. And it's not a CV, so that's good. I don't think it's a CV. Is that a CV? Oh, it is a CV. Isn't it? Yeah, it's constant velocity. And it's dry as a fucking fart. You know, that's the crazy thing. These people, these farmers, they lend these things out, and these farmers don't know what they're doing when it comes to these CVs, and then you have a mess. So, back it up to the shop. But
Here it comes.
here it comes. One of my pet peeves. What is it?
No grease.
No grease in a CV joint. This thing is so fucking dry. I could be really vulgar about how dry it is, you know, but I won't be. I'm gonna save people maybe some embarrassment. But whoever rented this last from the Zimmerman Farm Service, this is called a grease gun. This is a rather expensive one. It cost me a couple $300 for this grease gun, but it's got a light and everything. So here's the funny thing. It takes things called grease tubes. I use this, Schaefer's 238, which probably isn't the perfect grease for this, but I'm gonna get a whole tube into that reservoir on this CV joint, I guarantee you. I'm starting to see some come out because of the excessive wear due to a lack of grease. It is dry. It is really dry. We put about a quarter of a tube in here already. We might be where we need to be. It is just terrible. Okay, so this grease zerk here runs the one to the shaft. So it's really a good idea to put a lot in there because most people don't grease that. They don't look that hard. They don't feel like they have to, but it's right there.
And it'll seize, and then when you make it
What a
turn,
mess. You don't even want to know how bad that is. It's terrible. So we're greasing it before we get to work with it because I know how this goes. I know how this goes. Most of the time when people rent or borrow pieces of equipment, they just don't have the sense to grease it. There's some really good features about this spreader that I kind of like this right here. When you open up the gate, they close. They close so that you don't get crap all over your lights. I like that. That's actually a pretty good idea. Gearbox is made out of cast iron instead of aluminum, which I absolutely hate aluminum boxes. That thing there is a diverter to make it spread outward, more outward. So instead of it being in the just shooting straight out the back, it'll actually send it to the sides. And doing compost, it's kind of important to do that. Guillotine door. Now there is supposed to be a measurement somewhere. I imagine it's on the door someplace, but for the most part I don't see it. It was quite a trip to get this thing home. If you are interested in renting one of these, this is who you call, and you talk to I think it's James or even Carl Zimmerman. James Zimmerman. They'll set you up. James is the guy that I dealt with. They're brothers or cousins, I'm not sure. I think they're brothers. They look alike, similar. One's older than the other, so. But anyway, yeah, make sure you grease those. So that's where your door for the light.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I love that. I think that's great. Trying not to scoop up any strings, and we should be okay. But
Send the car through it?
yeah, huh?
Send the car through.
I don't think we want. Oh, they did it on TV. They sent a BMW through one of these
Are you
things.
serious?
Yeah, they stuffed it in there. I think that was a Pickrite though. Probably the same transmission in the back. These are. You get into there, you're just going to come out in a bunch of chunks. So don't scoop anybody up. Anyway, kind of excited to get it in the field, so we're going to start that process right now. Once they're done greasing it, I've got the 8530 on there, so I really don't care if I cut a bunch of ruts. All right, so I got Timothy running the Westendorf on the 8120, and we're loading mushroom compost, or spent compost as they call it. Just about full. It grows weeds really, really good. I was gonna plant corn last year on this property, but I just ran out of time. There were some issues I had with the corn planter, and I just ran out of time, so I didn't do it. So this stuff's been sitting here ever since then, and it's really time to just get it on the ground. So I think I said already, but I've rented this tube line. I'm actually enjoying it so far. It seems to be working quite well. Would be nice if it actually held a little bit more, but you know, the bigger the machine, the more it costs, the more stress is on it. So I think we're pretty good right now. Okay, we're good. So here we go. Now there's a procedure to this thing. It's a pretty simple procedure. Get the biggest tractor you got, because that stuff is not light. That's procedure one. But really, you just kick on your beaters, and that'll get you going. Set your speed. I'm running at 4.5 miles per hour, so I use my thumb wheel there. And then you raise the gate and engage. Wind her up. So I'm at 4.4 miles per hour. And you can watch it just twirl the shit right out of it. I'm trying to get a decent spread. I want to put about 2 tons of this to the acre. Okay, so that's going to involve a little overlap. which that whole thing just went sliding to the side. That's why I say get the biggest tractor you got. I mean, this thing's 374 horsepower, so you really want a big, heavy tractor on it. It's about 30,000 pounds, and should be fun. Should be fun. I think we're going to do okay. I don't know how many tons are going to go on here. I want 2 tons to the acre, 2 to 3 tons to the acre across the entire farm. There's 60 acres here, and I have another about 20 at another farm that I'm going to be putting it on from here, because I got a mountain of that stuff. It's right there. And oh, there went a clump of hay. And this thing will just tear everything up. It just will. Watch that thing go sideways. That's the kind of hills we got, man. Just hills that push you sideways. So, last spring I had Grant put K31 on this farm, but we had some early grass come in and took it over on the majority of the farm. So you'll see lines out here. I'm not too thrilled about the amount of money that I have in the grass seed itself. I got a couple $1,000s in grass seed, but I'm just going to kill it. We're going to kill it with Roundup, and that's going to happen here in the next few days. Once I'm done spreading this stuff, I got to go get my chemicals, and we're going to kill everything here. I've got some moss growing there, but we did the soil tests on this farm, and they were well within reason in the low 6, like 6.3. I'll show those results. Alright, so I'm thinking that the spread pattern on this thing is pretty impressive. It looks about as even as you can ask it to be. The material we're spreading is about the consistency of dog shit. And, yeah. So this is probably going to be my final load, maybe another one after this for tonight. I really like to get that field done down there, because I'm going to have to start hauling this stuff a lot farther away. But yeah, you can see it. I'm going to get down here good and close and touch it. It's just spent mushroom soil. There's a lot of nutrition in this. There's actually lime or calcium gypsum in this. And my pHs on this farm are not terrible. They're in that 5.6 to 6.2 ratio or rate, which is really good. I have high phosphates in this soil from years and years of using cow manure and other soil enhancements. We used to use an ag line that had a lot of human waste into it. So what I'm really only going to need to grow corn on this particular farm is potash and nitrogen. All the other trace elements that I'm getting out of this spent compost, the available phosphates and stuff like that, they will be readily available. I do have an analysis on this stuff, and I'm going to put it on at the 2.5 to 3 ton rate, and that's about where I'm at now. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll get it on this about 100 acres here at this farm, and then the other farm I'm going to probably get 20 loads of this material as well and put it on over there before I chisel plow. So you can watch these guys load a little bit. I got 2 loaders going. That's how we're going to get it spread very fast. This spreader you can get from Zimmerman Farm Service. It is tube line. I am quite impressed with it so far. It's the simplest thing there ever was. It's basically 2 hydraulic hoses and a PTO. One pair of hydraulic lines lifts and lowers the guillotine gate. The other hydraulic lines run the draper chain or the bed chain. And the power takeoff shaft runs the beaters, the vertical beaters in the back. So
Benjamin Stockton asks, when you harvest your corn, will you be using the corn dryer? Well, it's technically called a grain dryer, and most likely, yes. Samuel Walsh, you guys have a good time working together. Well, most days it's pretty fun. Some days, yesterday wasn't so much fun, but we got that sorted out, and yeah, for the most part we do. Clemson 1978, he asked, Wes, can you show the difference in bean meters and corn meters? Well, I could. I haven't taken the bean meter apart yet, but I've seen them. I've had them in the past. Back in the 70s and 80s, we actually planted beans on 38-inch rows, and we had to split the rows, plant the field twice. Oh my God, what a mess. We wanted to no-till, and that was the only way we could do it. So, yeah, sure, I'll tear one apart. Jack Parkey, a 12-ounce claw hammer, laughing my ass off. LMAOO. So he's laughed his ass off twice. We call that a Chevy wrench around here. And, yeah, you grab what you got. The boys had the ball peens, and a 12-ounce claw hammer worked just fine for me. Brian Ginder, you still planning on fixing the Heston baler? Why, yes, I do. I just haven't gotten to that part yet. That's all. Stay tuned. Kay Van Dyke, he asks a very serious question. Wes, is there anything you won't work on? Serious question. Yeah, an airplane that I'm about to fly in. Paul Looney, talking. He says, it's Robin Zaworski. Was Robin Sparkles on How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, I thought it was something. I thought it was like Sarah Sparkles. It was Robin Zaworski or Kowarski or however the hell you want to call it on How I Met Your Mother. Now, I didn't watch the series. I would walk in while my children were watching that show. I found it rather entertaining, though, because I actually walked in on that particular episode, or I think there was more than one with her being Robin Sparkles. But I thought it was Sarah Sparkles for some stupid reason. All right, so Jeremy Daubert, this is an interesting one. If money was no objects, what would your ideal size of operation as far as equipment, new and used? Well, that brings me to this old adage, how do you make a small fortune in farming? Start out with a large one. If money was no object, I would probably downsize. Downsize my operation to grow more precise and higher dollar value crops, new and used equipment, just a mixed bag of nuts really. Just buy good used equipment and have new equipment where it matters. And yeah, so Ryan McLean, man, I never seen a farm kid that did not know what a chisel plow was. Well, you got to understand, we were mostly no-till for many years, and I would only pull the chisel plow out on certain occasions on certain occasions, in the disc harrow as well. And a lot of times the fields were clean enough that I wouldn't even chisel plow. I would just run the disc over it and, break it up that way. And Joe knew what that was. But, yeah, so when you don't use a piece of equipment very often and they're in school and never actually do see you use it or know what it is, it's just a chunk of iron out in the field. And here at the end, I just want to thank everybody for your well wishes for my father. His right eye, he can't open it. When he forces it open, it just goes off to the side. And it's killing him, really. He wants to be outside. He wants to do work. And he is stuck in that chair, really. He was out at the picnic bench yesterday, and it just kind of, that ain't normal. But hopefully he's on the mend. He says it's feeling better, so hopefully it just goes away as quickly as it came. He's not having much luck with doctors right now because of this coronavirus. He was going to go to the Wills Eye Hospital, but he decided not to because he's 71 years old and he does not want to catch coronavirus and die. He said, I'd rather be blind than die. Which, I guess I could see his point. Last one or two. I'm going to do a bald. I need to shave my head. And that brings me to the final one. Who the heck was it? They asked me... Oh, Fiat 1000 asked me, does a 4320 run? Yes, it runs. There's nothing wrong with it. I could fire it up and go to work with it today if I wanted to. I just retired it, I guess. I would like to restore it and then use it on occasion. Like, what I would like to do. Same thing with the 4010. That's still at the back of the shop. A lot of time to work on those, and there's other more important things that need to be done before I do that. So, levels of importance, 4320, 4010, finishing the 4010 is not at the top of that. And Pat Clark Barnes, this is why I took my hat off. We didn't notice you shaved because of my new haircut. Well, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. And more spreader video. Teresa gets in the cab, so more spreader video coming.